So, what's our first?
Okay, so as I mentioned, basically the purpose of what we're doing here is really just to brainstorm what we're going to be doing with the new WSO. And especially since this is going to be the 35th year, I'm guessing there are some significant meanings involved with 35. To me, it seems like you add the 3 and the 5 and you get 8, and
which
that's
is
kind of a
success.
karmic number.
It's success.
Infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
so definitely going to be an important year.
Good, successful year.
Yeah.
We better get our butts together, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, it seems like this would be a good time to brainstorm what direction do we want to take the class, how can we best serve the students, and what can we do to incorporate the best of the old and some new things that would improve it even further, or at least take it in a new direction that will better serve today's students. Um, actually, I think probably the best thing to start with is a core definition of what is the purpose of the level 1 training. I mean, we're used to calling it WSO, but it seems to me like the O part of the name, it got eliminated this year. Coptic Master Courses, Level 1, World Service. So I don't know if we want to shorten it to just WS.
No,
Or if we
I
want
think World Services, I think, is the key. Just throw the order out.
Okay, I mean,
What was the purpose of having it called the Order?
I don't know, it's just a spontaneous thing that we started. It worked.
Well, order is just an order means it's us all coming together, doesn't it? So I think that
Yeah.
I'd leave it in.
okay.
I like it.
Yeah.
But we've
World
had
Service
it
Order is
since
it's like putting a foundation together and having have a structure is kind of what
it was.
it makes sounds to me.
It was a draw back in 1985 and thereafter. People
Mhm.
were drawn to it. So
Yeah,
why wouldn't they be drawn to it now?
Sure.
It's the order of the master courses.
that's
You
right.
could look at it that way.
Yeah.
So it's level 1.
That's
Okay.
right.
That's
I know
one
when
reality.
I tried just to shorten it down to World Service, it's like the tongue wants to add in another syllable or two
It
anyways.
does need
I
it.
catch
Yeah.
myself when I'm emceeing too. It's WSO,
Yeah.
World Service Order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So I know we redid brochures last year. Maybe we'll just go ahead
what is
and
the word like
keep-
order of the ages or something like that? It's used
keep
in
order.
when you
on
think of
there.
order.
We can update
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep things in order. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I got us off track and onto a
That's
tangent
all right.
about the
Okay.
meaning
That's
of
all
the
right.
name or
Just-
whatever.
Yeah.
But
But
let's go over what's the primary focus of this course.
I think the World Service Order is more self improvement. I think it's to help us figure out who we are, where we're going, and what's out there for us.
Mhm.
A lot of people have no idea. They're just floating around and doing the best they can. But I will have to say, I think the newer students coming in are more, in tune to what they used to be. And so, but we just need to help them to stay on the path and to teach them the little things that can help empower them. And I think that's kind of what World Service Order is,
Mhm.
serving yourself as well as other people. Because we all have to learn how to serve. And, when we were younger, it was serve, 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 serve. It was never about you or me, so now we need to learn about me too. And I think that's kind of what our class is going to be about.
So let me ask you for a little more detail here, because level 2, whenever it used to be called teacher training,
Right.
but when I interviewed the facilitators about what is the course about, they all talked about personal discovery, self-discovery.
Very good. I like it.
And
Yes.
so,
Well, that should be in World Service Orders. Teachers training is more how to get up in front. Well, you're discovering yourself as far as talking and what you can do physically, get up and put things together and organize it. That's teacher training. It's like going to school and to become a teacher.
That's what I assumed that
Yeah.
it was, but when I talked to the instructors, they didn't mention anything about that.
Well, you need to
They were-
re-talk to them.
It
Yeah.
was an
Okay.
extension of WSO, just from the standpoint of doing the presentations and
beyond.
becoming more seasoned with it and more structured.
Yeah.
So, but it was a lot of self discovery too, because what you put into that course is what you'll get out of it, and just like with any of the courses.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Self-discovery, you're going to learn every time you learn something new, you're going to learn self-discovery.
Right.
So
Well,
it's a different type.
let me ask it this way, because after talking to all the different instructors about the different levels, it seemed to me that the level one world service was about stepping up and becoming a leader, and that's a key thing that a lot of people are interested in doing.
Right.
And so that helps to bring people into the whole ecosystem. And then it seemed to me that the level two was about going deep within yourself to find even greater strength so you can serve at a higher level.
Well, how can you become a leader if you can't even find your own strength? So if you're learning to be a leader in WSO, you got to find your inner core first. You can't just become a leader.
Right.
You got to find out who am I and what am I about. And once you find out what you're about, a lot of people, that was the big thing when you have the classes and the students get done, they can't believe that I didn't realize that was worth as much as I am. They were very insecure, and once they start taking the class and realize that, hey, I am beautiful, I am powerful, I am wonderful, then all of a sudden they start stepping up and they become, a little bit more open and a little bit more aggressive.
Well,
But
public speaking is the number one fear that everybody
Sure it
has.
is. And we kind of break that down. That's one of the first things we do. We have
Exactly.
5-minute talks, 10-minute
Exactly.
talks. So we are starting that there. Where in teachers training, you're doing more other things. You're actually putting stuff together, But in WSO, you're actually learning about who am I, what can I, and we don't have them talk about anything, but we have them mostly talk about themselves and what they do, and what they've learned and how and they just do little things, so that helps their self-improvement. So, and when each kid talks, or of the other students, and they get together, they learn from each other too. And then of course we have speakers come in, but teach them self-confidence and who you are and stuff, and I think it's pretty powerful. And I really hope to God we bring that song back in.
Yes.
Yes, we had that song,
I love myself the way
I love
am.
myself. Yes,
And that was huge for when I
for
went through the
many
course.
years.
And it's been a long time since I actually got up and sang in front of people.
Right. Yeah.
And it was
It's
not
very-
only
well,
is
it's
the
very-
introduction to the Coptics for myself, but
Yeah.
that moment,
But they don't have to sing it if they would even say it.
some did.
Yeah,
That was their breakthrough to do what they could do. And
Well, just
Yeah.
saying, I love myself the way I am. That's
wonderful.
powerful because I couldn't do it, remember?
I mean, that's confidence.
Yeah. And I thought I had a lot of confidence
And-
until I had to get up and do that, and I couldn't do it.
And the World Service Order class teaches them confidence.
That's right. And that's the big thing. That's what we're supposed to do, is help them get out there, And once they got that confidence, they can go out and take their teacher training and take their, mastery and all these things, because they got the confidence to do it. So, that's kind of what WSO is about. So it's about learning themselves.
it was the building blocks towards something more. And
Yeah.
it was the foundational World Service Order to find
Right.
where you want to go next.
But you don't realize how insecure you are until you start learning about who you are. Then you realize, oh wow, I think I need to change my ways. So something like that. I don't know.
Well, in the class, they learn about self-confidence.
Yep.
They learn about how to speak from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And the critiques we give them, I think, really help.
Yeah, and you learn in WSL when you go to speak how you introduce the other person and how you give them a hug and stuff, and show your respect. And it's amazing, that right there draws people closer together.
Exactly.
So there's a whole bunch of things it's the little things in WSL
I
that
was just going to say that.
it's not the big things, it's the little things that really make it strong in there.
And the little things keep on growing into more
Yeah.
as you go through the
Yeah.
course, because you build those bonds
Yeah.
with your classmates. And
And it was funny because after the last class we had, after the second class, they decided they wanted more, so they started meeting more, and that was nice and talked. They just got together and just talked and
That's
communicated,
wonderful.
and they became very close knit,
Mhm.
very close
I
knit,
remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
and that was good. And you know, and they all needed that because some of them were very insecure, and some of them were, you know, there's one gal that came from quite a ways, and she couldn't wait to come back because she felt like she was somebody when she was here,
That's right.
and that's what's important. You know, a lot of people where you live, and you know, people, you know, you know you have these feelings, but you don't dare share them because you're afraid somebody's going to condemn you. Well, here, y'all have this like-minded, and it's like, oh wow, you know, I am somebody, you know, and then when they get out of here, they can face that,
Mhm.
and I think that means a lot too.
Because
So what
people
I'm
want.
hearing is a lot of it is centered around confidence.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if there was just one word that described the whole class, that would probably be it.
Confidence.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
That's right.
And
Okay.
it's a different approach to gain the confidence. That's what I remember from the class that I was in. It was just to, I went through Dale Carnegie, and I try to compare my World Service experience to the Dale Carnegie. It, it had the similar tones to it, but it didn't have the heartfelt
Right.
warmth to it. It was more business structured. This is how it is. This is the real world stuff. You know, with WSO, the World Service Order was more the warmth, the love,
Passion.
the acceptance, and to do greater things and find yourself.
Yeah.
Because
It's
Pe-
true.
people are looking to, when they come through the door here, they're looking for something more, and that's what I'd love to see more out of the class and have that continue.
It's funny you said that because Bob and I talked about, we both took Dale Carnegie too, but this was like a Dale Carnegie, but there was more closeness in it, you know,
That was a difference. For
a
me.
big
Yeah.
difference, yeah. The other was very business structured.
But self-confidence is one thing we wish we had.
Yeah.
And World Service Order focuses on is self-confidence.
Yes.
And because of the fact that they feel, the fact that they've done something they're unable to do and master it, they
Right.
gain self-confidence in themselves, which spreads to all aspects of their life.
Sure. That's right.
And we've done so many of them. We've done it since 1985.
Yeah.
So you can imagine the hundreds of people that we have trained and
Yeah.
then throughout the country, and we're not sure what they do with this teaching.
No.
I mean, some are on
Yes.
television shows, radio shows, or whatever. Some have written some books.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're going to do with it. But our training, because of all the years' experience, really helps people. And then they go out and help. It's a pebble hitting the water, and it creates ripples.
Yep.
And they learn about these things. Then they take it out into their geographic area and touch lives.
Actually, you brought up a good point that I wanted to touch on here as far as some of the students that have gone through the training in the past have gone on to do some really good things and become very powerful leaders
Mm-hmm.
in one way or another. Can you mention a few of those?
Well, there's been so many of them. I mean, it's when you do this since 1985, and you see like that phone call of that gal that's now on television, and she couldn't even give a talk about anything, and we trained her to do that. And that's difficult to speak on television or whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tom Hartman, of course, is internationally known speaker, and he took the course, and he became a Coptic minister. So think of what he's done with his life.
Mm-hmm.
He was more of he was just teacher training at first, right? So he
Took WSO first.
Yeah, back
And
then
this
you had
was
to.
way back when.
Yeah.
And you always look at those famous people, and then they took WSO to reach that point. It was part of it,
Huh.
not all of it, of course.
Right.
But we played a role in doing it.
But once you get that security, that you want to go on. I mean, that really helped Bob. Bob always wanted to do speaking, always wanted to write books. Once he got in here, it was like no question. He just went ahead and
WSO
did it.
helped him, huh?
Yeah, big time.
He is an outstanding speaker.
Yeah, he's very good. And he's very
Absolutely
very
outstanding.
knowledgeable, and he knows, what people want to hear.
So he learned the principles
Yep.
in WSO.
Right, he did. He's on his third book, so he's just can't quit now.
Yeah.
But you know, but the thing with this is that this gave him the start. He always wanted all these years to do that, and once he took WSO, it's just it was it.
Wonderful.
Or not, but not just WSO, but the whole training. But it just gave him more confidence and knowing different people, and he felt he was on the same page. It does make a difference.
Mhm.
So
Okay. So, I guess one of the other things that I would like to talk about as far as what techniques, what processes do we use in the training to help people gain that confidence to discover themselves and their center of power.
I think the biggest thing is we have them do just little blurbs of themselves, talks, how they feel about something. And it doesn't have to be anything big, but just getting up there and talking about it. We had a young homeless boy that was in our class, and he just wasn't going to get up and talk because he had nothing to talk about. But we said, well, just tell us something about yourself. What do you do? Once he got up there, he couldn't quit. He was going on and on and on. And I mean, he was good. He was interesting to listen to. But I think as he said the things he had to say, it opened him up to realize he was listening to what he said. Changed his life, you know. And that made a big difference. Big time.
One of the things that I'm hearing and what you're saying is that even people who feel like they have nothing to talk about, once they get into that process, they discover that they've got a lot more to share than they realize.
Yes, yeah.
Correct.
And that not just him. There was many of them, but that, you know, some people who are very shy to say something, and you say, well, just talk about just yourself, because that's one thing everybody knows about is themselves. But they just say some little thing and just talk a little bit about, you know, that they like to play with the butterflies or they like to plant flowers or they got a dog or what. But as long as they talk, all of a sudden they feel close to everybody, and everybody feels close to them because they understand them, and it just kind of opens them up. It's kind of cool.
I think one thing in the class, if I could pick a word, it would be energy.
Oh yes.
Personal energy.
Yeah.
And energy is what convinces.
Brings them out.
It brings them up.
Yeah.
And up there, and they, when they speak, they change the lives of the people in the audience in
Sure.
the class.
Yeah.
We learn from the class, and the whole class matures.
Yeah.
But we teach them to be themselves with positive energy.
Yeah.
And then
And
they gain confidence in themselves.
Yeah.
And that confidence spreads out their entire life.
And once they have that power up there, because they're the speakers, they got the power, you can see all of a sudden they just feel good, you know, about themselves. That's kind of cool.
You can see the energy just change, you know, the smiles on their faces.
Yeah.
And but there was an exercise that I had when I went to the class with the basket. There's little bitty pieces of paper with
yeah.
a phrase on them, and I'd love to do that again.
Yep.
And I never forgot the one I chose. It was, "What does service mean to you?"
And I had talk on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And stuff like the little things like that, and I would do more of them
Yes.
if that's okay with the group.
So everybody spontaneously,
Yeah.
I remember very well,
Everybody
they
has
picked it
something to
out
share.
and then they had to speak about that with energy and positivity.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
And I heard, I think you mentioned as far as when the students get up and do the little talks and they share their experience, that they're changing the lives of the other students even within the class.
Yes.
So as far as this training, if someone's coming into this training to learn how to present themselves and to speak out in public and to literally change people's lives, if that is their ambition, then they can even get started just within the class
Oh,
itself.
definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Very easily.
Okay. And I'm hearing a lot about personal energy and momentum as far as just getting started, and then it keeps right on rolling. So these are some other ideas that I think are going to be good in how we present the class.
And we also have graduates from WSO with great training skills and speaking skills and organizational skills that come in and share.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not only us.
No, it's
There's
other ones too, yeah.
Other people are willing to come in and volunteer their information for the benefit of the class.
Their areas of expertise
So,
and
they get
skills
so
and
the
talents.
student gets a variety of speakers,
Right, yeah.
and it works.
And one of the ways that I have interpreted that is that not only are they getting good information, but they're also seeing how other people present their information. So
Exactly.
they can, the students get to learn by example as well as
Right.
by doing.
And they see their classmates change before their eyes.
Yeah, oh, they do. Yeah,
They
that's what's
really do.
cool.
It's really amazing
Yeah.
how
And
the class
Yeah,
changes.
because some people in the class are very already confident and very powerful, and they feel good, and they just want to take this class because they just still think they need it, but they really help the other people, and it just
Sure.
they just all seem to fall in together, so it's kind of nice.
Glad you,
Especially-
glad you touched on that, Barb, because there's people coming into the course with different skill sets. Some can public speak, so
Yeah.
they're looking for different things. One would who are the Coptics,
Yeah.
and they have a nudge towards spirituality, and they want to find out more. So
Yeah,
bringing in more of what the Coptics are and who we are, in the lessons, and almost phase in that teacher training or self discovery one, make it a one course in part.
Yeah.
Make it then when it gets into teacher training, self discovery, which I'm still getting used to saying that, and they'll have more to build on. It'll kind of give them that hunger, that thirst to have more of the information of Master Hamid Bey and the teachings.
yeah. Once they learn that, just little things of Hamid Bey, they like, wow, they want more. In fact, I have a lot of people ask me, can I read your books? Oh no, you can go to
Right.
Coptic Center and get them all you want.
And
So
that,
take the
that,
class.
I knew of it because I had Coptic upbringing, but it was really missing, and I understand in recent years we've had more of the teachings coming into the class, but to have more of that now,
Yeah.
that'd be an excellent idea if everybody's in agreement with that. Obviously, you're going to bring in the real stories because you've had face to face.
Been there, done that, yeah.
Encounters with Master Hamid Bey, but
Yeah.
Yeah, some
But
wonderful
to bring-
stories.
Yeah.
you tell the stories, we'll bring in maybe more of the lessons and
Exactly right.
and areas that you both
Well,
are strong at too.
He did that last year, and they were like, wow,
Yeah.
So, yeah, we need to do. There's a lot of things we could do, but we only have 5
Well, we
weekends to
have
do it.
we have a theme in the course which is called "Anything is Possible,"
Yeah,
and we have a person who founded this organization who was a master builder. He was truly a master in every way, shape, and form. He was a modern day Houdini, and of course, we learned from those lessons, and we integrate them into WSO too.
Well,
So-
I would imagine that the teachings of Hamid Bey are the foundation
oh,
of
definitely.
how this confidence and this personal energy and everything comes out.
And
Definitely.
when he represented, as great as he was humility.
Hmm.
He was the greatest man I've ever met and the most humble man I've ever met.
Yeah.
So all those qualities are taught in his materials, and we bring those into the course.
Hmm.
So people can have an opportunity to pick up his wisdom.
And it's good that you brought up the humility aspect too, because as far as this whole concept of tapping into your personal power and becoming a leader, the thing that I've learned over time is that the best leaders aren't so full of themselves. They are somewhat humble, and they let other
Exactly.
people build them up instead of trying to build themselves up.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Okay.
I'm
So,
glad you touched on the humility part of it. That's so much what Master Hamid Bey is about. Through you teaching us, it's really important to carry that on.
Yep.
I guess check your ego in the door, you'd call it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Check in your ego at the door when you come through.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's building, We as teachers, our job is to encourage them and tell them how good they are and what they're doing, and
Mhm.
all the time. And I
That's
think
huge.
that
Yeah.
that really gives them confidence, and so it's kind of fun because when they get done, we critique them, and that's always fun because they're always half scared to come over and listen to us because they don't know what we're gonna say, But it's usually good. So but yeah, so it's kind of interesting to have them watch their faces when you critique them and when you tell them they got great voice or they got a great speaking ability or they use hands just right or whenever you just tell them some little thing, they just blow up inside like, wow, I am good at something here, and it's kind of nice.
How's the course changed since you've taken it to what you've been teaching it the past couple of years?
I don't know. The first year that I did, I basically let Nathan take because I didn't know I didn't know what they did anymore. I just came in and kind of observed and kind of watched and helped. But it seems like they used to give us stuff to talk on and do all the time, and now we're letting them pick out what they want. That's what they,
I think that's a difference.
Yeah, that's the only difference that I really know of. We still have speakers come in like they did before, and they still do little things. I really miss that song, but as far as everything else, it's only a big change, I think. So,
So actually, that touches on one of the other things that I was wanting to cover here. What kind of new things would we want to add into the class this year? Is there anything that we want to try to do different?
I can't see anything really. It's
Well, after doing it since 1985, we can pull from a lot of different venues, from a lot of different instructors.
Yeah. It is. It's kind of funny. You kind of feel the group when they come in.
Mhm.
Some groups are already know, about Hamid Bey, and some groups know nothing about him. Some groups are very open-minded, and some people are kind of scared and wondering. So you kind of listen to them the first week, and they talk, and then you can kind of tell what they want to hear, what they need to hear. And you'll feel it. It's in the group. It's yeah.
Well, I know this is going to be the first year that I'm involved. And as far as presenting information and that type of thing, I know I have some different things that I could contribute depending on what the group wants, obviously. As far as refining a message and creating a business around whatever leadership role you want to take in the world. Becoming what's known as a thought leader, refining what your message is and how do you present it, how do you put together a talk. I mean, I'm sure you guys are already doing that anyways, but maybe I have a little bit different perspective
Sure.
on how to do that.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it can be all kinds of different things, so.
Four of us have a lot of different experiences,
Yeah.
but it's all because we have been around in this field a long time. We've done a lot of teaching, a lot of sharing, a lot of inspiring
Right.
of others.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we try to pass on.
Right. So.
So one thing in this brochure that I was looking at that I'd like to get a little more information on, some of the things that the program is described to do. One piece here facilitates, well, we've already been talking about this, facilitates the creation of a better, more confident you. That's something we've already talked about. But the next one, expands your awareness and abilities. Can someone touch on that a little bit? In what way does the class expand awareness and abilities?
Well, sometimes people have businesses or, little things. I'm terrible with names. What was that? My haired lady with the purple in her hair.
Peggy,
Peggy.
Bella?
Yeah, and she
Bella.
came in. She was doing group talks and stuff, and she was pretty. She just knew what to do and everything. And she just had her ways. But as the different people got talking and said, and she wasn't getting anywhere. She couldn't figure out what people didn't come and stuff. So we started talking to her about, what it is you need to do and just why are you doing this way and stuff. And she, well, I don't know, but you got to have a plan, just little things. And then other people would say something and she learned from them little things that people needed or wanted, so it just helps you in your own business, to grow because you think you got all the answers and think it's doing good, but if it's not doing good, you got to ask somebody else's opinion. And so the other group of kids would say what they thought was good, and that helps.
So what I'm hearing from you is that when someone comes into the class, they have the class as a resource
A lot of them
to
do.
learn from and to help brainstorm issues that they may have in their own lives.
Sure.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Not just from a business standpoint, but
No.
personal as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes it's marriage problems, sometimes it's money problems, sometimes it's kid problems, you know. There's people that come and got kids that they just don't know what to do with, you know, and when you learn to teach them that, you know, you got to be the leader, not the follower. You know, just little things. It's just kind of makes them think. Then they talk with each other, and they all brainstorm. It's just good.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And this is definitely one aspect where going to a class is so much more enriching than just reading a book.
right, and it's more open. It's, you know, it's not, you're not there to teach them that. They're there to come and if they want to observe and learn it. You're not saying this is what you got to be doing. You're not counseling them. You're just communicating. When one person's got a problem, you communicate with all of them, and so they, you know, nobody's pointed at.
Right.
You
No
know what
one
I'm
feels
saying?
singled
Right.
out.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they do have a problem, then they can get some help. But we don't, you know, do that in class or anything.
Focus on mind, body, and spirit. When you see that, that kind of gives the indication of this is not only a speaking class, but spiritual. I would think that most people that come through the class think that there's a spiritual aspect of it, and I would assume that's a draw. Like it was for me.
Yeah.
Whereas you read Dale Carnegie, it's just public speaking or Toastmasters or something like that, which is all great. But so that's how we differentiate ourselves, don't you think?
Mhm.
Sure.
And
And that's where we learn through the Hamid Bay stuff, the
Right.
spiritual part. Yeah.
Here's a quote from a promotional brochure, a very quick one. I love the World Service Order. I learned the best thing is to be yourself and develop your own personal style. We teach people how to really be themselves.
Yes.
When you're yourself, you're going to come across and impact others quicker.
Right, because people can kind of feel when you're being authentic or when
Exactly.
you're just trying to pretend to be someone else.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay. So I think we pretty much covered everything that I had in mind. I think we've got a really good description of what the class is, what it helps people accomplish, confidence, personal energy, changing lives, changing themselves, a resource to draw from. I mean, definitely a lot of um, power and value in what we've described here.
Yeah. Value is very important. Value of who you are and what you do is what you have.
Anything else that we should be talking about? I mean, I don't want to completely take over this whole thing.
no, it's fine.
No.
Barb, I'm kind of curious what some of your topics might be. Ellen kind of touched on the business side of it, and obviously John's going to talk about Master Hamid Bey and the stories and the Coptic feel
Some
to it.
wisdom that comes from
Well,
there.
I talk more about taking care of yourself, internally, externally. You know, like your the diet is important, but your body is important, and your mind is important. If you can't keep one straight, the other one's going to fail. I mean, you're all connected, and how you think affects how you feel. I kind of talk about nutrition and stuff like that, but I don't just do nutrition. I do mind. I don't know, just a little bit of everything. I have one talk. It's how to let go, and
Yeah, I love that talk of yours.
yeah, and
Let it go, Mary Jo.
yeah, yeah. What else? I can't remember all of them, but they're just just little motivation talks.
Well, it sounds to me like it's all about personal well-being.
Yeah, basically.
Okay, well,
Not
Yeah.
only with
it's a
the
very
dietary,
important topic.
Yeah.
very much so.
Yeah. So what are you going to talk on?
I want to delve in more to the Coptic teachings.
Oh, that's good.
And I think I've been kind of playing my role of, I'm trying to think about my role of what I'm going to be doing, and I think that's what needs to be brought out more. Obviously, like I said, John's going to bring in the stories, but for me, I think just from getting into the lessons, and there's going to be people that I feel that will come through the door that are looking for more, and
Right.
let's just keep it practical. Not so much this is the Coptic way, but this is the spiritual way. This is the universal way,
Yeah.
and the universal perspective that we teach. That's what I like to bring into it, and try to present it in a different way, and
Mhm.
not only for growth of the people that are in our class, but for myself as well.
Well, a lot of the stuff I do, I talk about Huntwood Bay talks about nutrition, and he talks about exercise,
Perfect. Yeah.
and it's you kind of I always try to bring him in because that's what we're here for.
One thing always talk about is diet, meditation,
Yep,
exercise.
exactly. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
we've got. Remember the T-shirts we used to have?
Yep.
Diet, meditation, exercise, self-mastery.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important things we teach here
Yeah.
is how to master
Yeah.
yourself.
You know, I was thinking after your talk last night, the diet, meditation, exercise, it'd be kind of interesting if we just resort that to be meditation, exercise, diet, and have a phrase, have you taken your meds today?
I love it. Oh, that is fantastic. Thank you.
Why would you say? Why would
That
you,
is brilliant.
why would you say that?
Matt,
Well, M for meditation,
that
E for
meds.
exercise,
Oh,
M for
A different kind of
D
med.
for diet.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
that's-
Nice.
Actually, Mike, with your background, one of the things that I think would be highly valuable to bring into all of this, as far as confidence and personal power and that kind of thing, is the teachings you do with Cobra Breath and the Om Chant, because that helps
Yeah.
people really touch into the core of their being. And I know for myself, once I found how to access that core, that gave me so much confidence.
It does. And I'd welcome that too. And now that you mentioned that, Alan, when I was in WSO, you interweave of the teachings and the students as well. You get into the weekend 2 and 3, and you start giving these talks, and just like when you get into level 2 self-discovery or teacher training, all the Master Ahmed Bey's lessons they interweave.
Yeah.
So I think, John, you mentioned going through the course when you taught myself that the repetition is good for the soul. Comment I think you mentioned at various times, and I really believe that, and that's the foundational groundwork of year 2, 3, or even 4 up to ministerial training is what we can offer.
Sure.
A lot of times when
With this
to
class.
get the class started,
Mhm.
well, I'll do a little yoga. Just a little exercise, stretching. Just simple things. Get the people loosened up a little bit, and then somebody can go into the oming or the or we have the students do eventually or something. But we do just different. Always make sure there's a meditation opening and a meditation closing, so that they can learn to do it, and then we can do little things, and it's always nice.
Mhm.
That way, they all, when they get done, everybody gives hugs, and they start feeling a little connected, and it's kind of nice. And when they know you can do a meditation, they're on time. Usually, there might be one once in a while, but yeah. But we talk about that too. So
So weekend 1 we will do it, then we'll bring them in for the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
then you
I remember that.
have them, donate or nominate them or have them volunteer. Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Mentioned about the interweaving of the concepts and the lessons we learn and the teachings as well for Master Ahmed Bey's teachings, but the interweaving in a physical sense was that yarn ceremony for that last weekend, how I closed my class. I don't know if you still do that or not.
Can't remember.
Where we all sat in a circle, and Rosalie Britton taught the class, and Marjorie Morrison. They had different colored balls of yarn, or one big ball of yarn, and you passed it back and forth and gave positive affirmations of what you thought about the person, your classmate, and I think it was intentions for the future after the class.
Oh, that's
So
cool. I don't remember doing
That
that.
was really powerful.
I remember.
And then you cut it off at the end, and you kind of save your little
Easter.
strand of yarn.
Hmm. I'll put it
I don't
in.
know if that's still being done or
When
not.
you're doing the last since 1985, we've
Okay.
had a multitude of experiences.
Yeah. But you got a lot of different teachers, so that kind of gives it.
Yeah.
Many different teachers,
Different things, yeah.
and the main thing, we've changed lives.
Yeah.
For the
Mhm.
positive.
Yeah.
And that's very gratifying.
What was the first class like?
1985.
I think you remember that?
Oh, wow, that was amazing.
35 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
that was just
Hamid Bey
amazing.
around then?
No, he passed in 76.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Passed in 76.
Yeah.
But then we started trying to continue his great teachings,
Mhm.
and it led to a lot of different things. And
Yeah.
one of which is the World Superstore in
Yeah.
1985.
Yeah.
And we're very proud of it.
Yeah.
Very proud of it.
Well, it's done pretty good if it's still going, you know.
Yeah, still going.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things that I'm hearing in this, especially with what you're saying about after 35 years, there's so much that we can bring into it. My questions about what are we going to do and what kind of activities and all that kind of stuff. I think what I'm finally understanding here is that what we're intending to do is bring our experience into the group
Mhm.
and offer in and allow the group, the students as well as the facilitators, to dictate exactly what happens in each session of the class and do whatever is appropriate in the moment to help the students in the best way we can.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily set in stone before it
Right.
starts
No,
what's
we,
going to
It's not.
happen when.
it doesn't ever
No.
work that way.
No,
How
it
about,
never
how
does.
about for the first weekend? We're going to be going into it with not having a grasp on the students' level unless we know who they are. So, what is kind of like the game plan for the first weekend?
Well, usually
It's just,
it's usually
well, let's look at the brochure. I mean,
well, they don't tell the game plan.
weekend one is Beyond Limitations.
I would
Well,
think
we have all the itineraries from all
Yeah.
the different
Yeah.
classes that we can all evaluate to determine what we're going to bring into the first level.
I would think one of the first things that we would do is go around and introduce ourselves and then have the students introduce themselves.
Right.
Oh, sure.
And
That's
that would be
part
their
of it.
first
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
of public
That's
speaking.
the first thing we do in the class. We
Right.
go around and how did you find out
Introduce
about
and-
WSO
yeah.
and so forth.
Yeah.
And,
You
we
introduce
give
each
our
other.
history.
Yeah.
And we become a family,
I don't remember if we all got up at the podium or is that just around the tables?
just around the table.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, I didn't want to embarrass
I would-
them first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would think
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
table would be.
But the
Yeah.
class
best.
does become a family.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. That's very gratifying to see. They really develop friendships, lasting friendships, by the way.
And then usually the instructors do a talk, you know,
Oh, sure.
at first, and then people get to know them, you know, and then I don't remember, did you bring somebody that first day or second day or some start bringing people in, but yeah, so there's that way they get to start hearing talks right away. So, and with 3 of us this year, we shouldn't need as many outside talkers, you know, but so we could, you know, have different things
we have
going on.
a lot of wonderful speakers in
Yeah.
the organization
Okay.
who've been trained in WSO and the other classes that
Mhm.
are happy to come in and share their wisdom.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're outstanding.
Yeah.
You
Outstanding
mentioned
speakers.
with 3 of us. My math may not be great, but I'm counting 4.
Oh yeah, 4. I know, but 3.
You are sharp.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Wow.
He observes and then he comes in for the punch.
you got the 4 sides of the pyramid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
We need one more for the capstone, right?
Yeah.
One more for the capstone, yeah.
That'll be Bob, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we have more than enough material
Yes.
for what we're.
And then you're gonna edit it and bring in the highlights and
Yep.
perfect. Perfect.
Yep, and we can do a couple different videos from this.
I love the way the 4 of us get together.
Yeah.
Get along. I mean, we really have a strong.
Well, we're on
bond
the
here.
same brainwave, I think.
Exactly.
It wasn't that way before.
Is there any goofy exercises we want to do?
Oh, sure.
Oh, of
Or have
course.
anybody?
Well-
I don't remember doing way too goofy things, but
Did some fun stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
like I don't know, like I'm trying to think what Rosalie might have done, like Groucho Marx classes, or you know,
Yeah.
just to get people out of their
I remember her bringing in
right into their comfort zone.
she brought in some black rose and she cut it all up, and she said, and she was talking as she was doing it, and she said, she take this rose and she was standing there and she started saying, you know, we're all the same. We all have this dark side of us, like this rose, and she was cutting, and we have little thorns, and she was cutting the thorns off, and then you know we got the stem, and then we got the. Then she get up to the head of the rose, and then she started cutting them, and she says, you know, it just keeps going, and you know all these things we do. She kept cutting it away, and all of a sudden she had this flower all down there, and she says, and this right here now, this is God. You know, we all have thorns, and it's good because we need them, and we have. And she went on, and I thought, oh my God, I never thought about something like that, but it was just kind of cool, you know, just little things like that, you know. But I don't know. But and Mary Ann, she was crazier than heck. She always did fun things, but
Yeah.
can't remember everything. But
I miss her.
I do too.
What a
But
great
she used
gal.
to do the name thing where you take your name and then you got to figure out a whole bunch of names. But
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
She did that too.
yeah,
Good.
in fact, I still got I got a whole bunch of WSO stuff. I should bring a lot of that things out and go through some of the things. But yeah, she did stuff like that too. It was just everybody got involved and we had fun trying to figure out different words we got out of our name. You know, some like devil and just little things like that. You know, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what little things can trigger deep insights.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 But she always would bring out all kinds of funny things like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Remember the rose? Now you mentioned that. I haven't thought about that in years.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Can't remember exactly how it went, but I remember her doing this, and I'm sitting there watching her. What are you cutting it up? You know, and but it really made sense when she got done, and can't remember exactly, but she was,
A lot of nice memories.
yeah,
Marjorie taught us about labyrinths.
oh yes,
You put them on paper and
Tra-
oh wow, yeah.
yeah,
Then you trace it all and somebody circuit to labyrinths and run your finger. Feel the difference. Yeah, feel more balanced. Yeah, it's just stuff like that was
yeah, yeah. That's
memories.
a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just hands-on stuff.
yeah. And then in that class or teachers training, somebody talked about how to use a pendulum, you know, just stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think one of the girls did that in a class last year too, because she didn't know what to talk about. I said, "You know how to use a pendulum? Yeah, let's get them teach it." So she did.
And I can definitely see that applying to the thing about expanding awareness and abilities, because we all have awarenesses that we don't always know about.
Yeah, right. Don't know how to use them.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I talk about that too. One of my talks about learning to listen. That first thing, you know, and we all have abilities. We all have gifts. That's one of the talks. So
This pretty much wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Pretty
I think
much.
so.
Yeah.
Great.
The other thing that I was wanting to do is to set up and do like little one-on-one interviews with each person to kind of get
Haven't we?
a little bit more depth.
Haven't we done enough here?
Probably have. I'm
Yeah.
feeling like that's not as necessary now as what I
I
originally
mean, we've
thought it
really
would be.
expressed ourselves enough that somebody watching, and you're very good at consolidating the important thing and separate the whatever. I don't think we need the private interviews. I
Probably
don't know.
not. Probably not. But that's something that we can do
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah,
if
we can do
decide
later
we
on.
want
Somebody
to.
know, whatever.
If we need to have.
Because the thing that I am understanding here is that the class becomes what the students need.
Exactly.
And as far as promoting the class, it's really about introducing who we are. And we are bringing our experience, our lifetime of education and experience and all that into the class, and you get to pull from us whatever you need.
exactly.
And we have had, all four of us have had so much knowledge and information and wisdom that we can bring the class together.
Right.
Just like this is the mastermind, what we created here.
Sure.
We're friends. We brought this together, and what you're going to do with it is going to be great.
Yeah, we can
And
we
it's
can
already-
all learn from each other too. So
Of course
Definitely.
we will.
yeah,
In
We
fact,
do.
I'm thinking the video that we're
I'm sure we will.
producing here
We do
can
learn
be a
from
good
each other.
sample
Oh.
of what the classes might be like.
well, that's true too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Been great.
You guys, yeah.
So I'd say we're all good.
Yep. We're all good.
Say we're great.
Great Greatest video ever.
Yes. Way to go, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.